The police officer's pen hovered over the report form. "And you are certain you want to press charges?" she asked me. "Against your own daughter?" My hand was shaking so badly I had to put down my coffee cup. I looked at Officer Rivera and said the words I never thought I'd say, yes, because if I don't, she is going to die, and I can't watch that happen. That was 3 years ago. And what happened after that phone call, after that impossible, agonizing decision, taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do looks nothing like love at all. If you've ever had to make an impossible choice to save someone you love, you are in the right place. Hit that subscribe button because this channel is about the hard stories that end in hope, the ones that remind us love sometimes means letting go. Like this video if you believe that boundaries can be the most loving thing we offer. And please, share in the comments if you've ever had to choose the hard right over the easy wrong. Let's remind each other we're not alone in these impossible decisions. Now let me tell you about the hardest phone call I ever made. My daughter Jessica started visiting me again about 4 months after her divorce. After 2 years of barely any contact, suddenly she was coming by every week, sometimes twice a week. I was thrilled. I am not going to lie to you. I was so happy I could have floated. We'd have coffee. She'd tell me about her new apartment, her job search, her therapy appointments. She seemed like she was really getting her life together. I am a retired high school teacher. I live on my pension. I am not wealthy, but I am comfortable. And when your daughter shows up and mentions the electric bill is overdue, or her car needs a repair, or she is short on groceries, you help. That is what parents do. Except it wasn't the electric bill, it wasn't groceries. And I didn't figure that out until my credit card company called about suspicious activity. $7,000 in cash advances, multiple online purchases sent to addresses I didn't recognize, charges at a casino 3 hours away. On days when Jessica had told me she was at job interviews, the fraud department asked me, "Do you know someone with access to your cards who might have made these charges?" And I knew immediately. I knew. I didn't confront her right away. I needed to be sure. So I did something that made me feel sick. I started watching, paying attention to when she'd ask to use the bathroom, noticing how she'd volunteer to grab my purse when I needed my reading glasses, seeing the way her eyes would track to where I kept my wallet. 2 weeks later, she visited on a Tuesday afternoon. We had tea. She told me about a promising job lead. She used the bathroom. And when she left, I checked my wallet immediately. My visa was missing. I called her. "Jess. Honey, I think my credit card fell out in your car. Can you check?" Long pause. "Oh, yeah. I'll bring it back tomorrow." She didn't bring it back tomorrow. She didn't call. And when I checked my account that evening, there were 3 new charges. Gas station, liquor store, ATM withdrawal for $500. My daughter wasn't getting her life together. My daughter was using again, and I had been funding her addiction while she looked me in the eyes and lied. I didn't sleep for 3 days. I kept picking up the phone to call her, putting it down, picking it up again. I called my sister Diane. She'd been through this with her own son years ago. She listened to me cry and then she said something I'll never forget. "Karen, what you are doing isn't helping her. It is helping her addiction. And there is a difference." I called Jessica's ex-husband, Marcus. He was gentle but honest. "She has been using since before we separated," he told me. I tried everything. Ultimatums, treatment centers, monitoring her accounts. Nothing worked until I finally had to choose, enable her or save myself. I couldn't save her. She has to want to save herself. I looked at my credit card statements, $17,000 over 4 months. Every dollar a lie, every visit a theft, every "I love you, Mom" followed by her hand in my purse. The treatment counselor I spoke with was direct. If you keep giving her access to money, you are participating in her destruction. Addicts need to hit bottom, and sometimes the people who love them have to help them get there. So I made the call. Officer Rivera came to my house. She was young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense manner. She sat at my kitchen table and took my statement. "This is your daughter?" she asked. looking at the photo I'd shown her. Yes? And you want to press charges for credit card fraud and theft? I started crying, full, ugly crying, the kind where you can't catch your breath. I don't want to, but I have to. She is addicted to opioids. She got hurt in a car accident 5 years ago, got prescribed painkillers, and she never stopped. And now she is buying them on the street, and I don't know what else she is into. And if I keep giving her money, she is going to overdose. I know she is. I can see it coming, and I can't. I can't watch my daughter die. Officer Rivera stopped writing. She put down her pen, and she looked at me with these eyes that had seen this before. Too many times before. You are doing the right thing, she said quietly. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you are doing the right thing. They arrested Jessica 2 days later. She called me from jail, screaming. Words I won't repeat here. Words that felt like they were tearing pieces out of me. She told me I was the worst mother in the world, that I'd destroyed her life, that she'd never forgive me. I told her I loved her, that I would always love her, but that I couldn't help her die anymore. Then I hung up and I sobbed for 3 hours straight. Jessica was sentenced to 18 months in a court-mandated treatment program as an alternative to jail time. The prosecutor, a woman named Miss Chen who'd handled dozens of these cases, told me privately, this is actually the best possible outcome. She'll get treatment, she'll be supervised, and she'll be alive. For the first 6 months, Jessica refused to speak to me. She refused my visits, returned my letters unopened. Her counselor at the facility called me once to update me on her progress, and she mentioned that Jessica spent most of her first 2 months angry. At me, at the system, at everyone except herself. But slowly, something shifted. Month 7, I got a letter. It was short, Mom. I am starting to understand some things. I am not ready to talk yet, but I wanted you to know I am still here. I must have read that letter 500 times. Month 11. She agreed to a supervised visit. We met in a common room at the facility, a counselor present the whole time. Jessica looked different, clearer. Her eyes focused in a way they hadn't been in years. We didn't talk about the theft. We didn't talk about the arrest. We talked about small things, a book she was reading, the garden the residents maintained, how she'd been teaching another woman in the program to crochet, something I'd taught Jessica when she was 12. At the end of the visit, as I was leaving, she said, Mom. Wait. I turned around. My counselor helped me understand something. She said you didn't call the police on me. You called them for me, and I am starting to think maybe she is right. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. I am not there yet, Jessica continued. I am still so angry about a lot of things. But I am starting to see that the person I am angriest at is me, not you. You were just the first person to stop pretending everything was fine. Jessica completed the 18-month program. She moved into a sober living house. She got a job at a coffee shop. Small steps. Nothing dramatic. But every step forward was real. We rebuilt slowly, coffee once a month at first. Then, every other week, she started therapy. Real therapy, not just the mandated sessions. She worked the 12 steps. She showed me her monthly budget and her bank statements without me asking, because she wanted me to see she was managing her own money. Now, 2 years after her release, she asked if she could come to my house for Thanksgiving. Just the 2 of us. She brought sweet potatoes, my mother's recipe that I'd taught her years ago. We were washing dishes when she said, Mom, I need to tell you something. My heart seized. Here it comes, I thought. She is using again. I've been meeting with other women from the program who have kids, she said. Hands in the soapy water. Moms who lost custody, who destroyed relationships, who stole from their families. And I've been telling them about you, about what you did. Because some of them, their families are still enabling them, still giving them money, making excuses, pretending, and they're dying, slowly dying. She turned to look at me, tears streaming down her face. I tell them, my mom loved me enough to let me fall. She loved me enough to stop catching me, and it saved my life. I tell them to hope their families love them that much too. Jessica is 3 years sober now. She is assistant manager at the coffee shop. She is back in school part-time, studying social work. She sponsors 2 women in her recovery program. And last month, she did something extraordinary. She started speaking at family support groups for people who have loved ones struggling with addiction. She tells our story from her perspective. She talks about how my betrayal was actually the first honest thing anyone had done for her in years. How being arrested was the moment her real recovery became possible. How the boundaries I set became the foundation she built her new life on. I went to one of her talks, Saturday in the back, listened to her tell a room full of desperate, exhausted parents. If your loved one is stealing from you, lying to you, manipulating you, stopping it isn't cruel. It is the most loving thing you can do because you can't save them. But you can stop participating in their destruction. And sometimes, that is what makes space for them to finally save themselves. After the talk, a mother approached Jessica, crying, "But what if they hate me? What if I lose them forever?" Jessica took her hand. "My mom made the call that got me arrested, and I hated her for it. For months, I hated her. But she didn't make that call because it felt good. She made it because she loved me more than she loved being loved by me, and that is the difference. That is what saved us both." I think about that phone call sometimes. Officer Rivera's pen hovering over the form, my shaking hands. The feeling that I was destroying my relationship with my daughter to save her life. I was destroying our relationship. The old one. The one built on enabling and denial and watching her slowly disappear. That relationship had to die so a new one could grow. One built on honesty and boundaries and real love instead of fear. It is not a story about doing something easy. It is not even a story about doing something that felt right. It is a story about doing something that felt like death and trusting it might lead to life. Here is what I learned. Love isn't always soft. Sometimes it is steel. Sometimes it is saying no when every fiber of your being wants to say yes. Sometimes it is calling the police on your own daughter because that might be the only thing that saves her. We live in a world that tells us love means acceptance, means support, means always being there. And those things are true, but sometimes being there means refusing to stand next to someone while they destroy themselves. Sometimes support means letting them fall. Sometimes acceptance means accepting you can't fix this. They have to. The hardest call I ever made wasn't to the police. It was the call I made every single day after that. The call to trust that tough love was still love. That boundaries were a gift. That letting go might be the thing that brings someone back. Jessica and I are okay now. Better than okay? We're real. And sometimes I think that is worth more than easy ever was. If this story resonated with you, subscribe if you want more stories about the hard choices that lead to healing. But here is what I really need. If you are struggling with an impossible decision about someone you love, whether it is addiction or anything else, share in the comments. You are not alone in this. And sometimes hearing that someone else survived the impossible choice makes it just a little bit easier to make. Thank you for listening to my story. And if you are the person who needs to make that hard call, the one that feels like betrayal, but might be salvation, I hope you find the courage. I hope you trust that love sometimes looks like letting go. Jessica says hi, by the way. She knows I am sharing this, and she wanted me to tell you boundaries saved her life. They might save your loved ones too. I'll see you in the next one.